Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Get Real About Love. And I'm
Hi,
so
everybody.
glad to see Clayton. How you doing today, Clay?
Very, very good. Thank you. And you?
I'm good. You're back at home in California.
California, yes.
And I know that as you were traveling, we had done our bad boy, bad girl segment last week. And I got a lot of responses from friends that watched on Facebook. People contacted me and said they could really relate. What about you?
Well, I did. I got some very good responses, and some that I think represent the experience of a lot of people, because I don't know if maybe it's just more obvious nowadays that social media has made the dating scene. I mean, you can flip through 100 faces and go, I'll take her or I'll take him.
Yeah.
And it's made this sort of playgirl and bad boy opportunity much more available to many people from a safe distance, shall we say.
Right.
And this one gal said to me, look, I dated a bad boy when I was younger in my life. And it hurt me so bad that I realized that I needed to protect myself, was the inference I got from her. Much stronger. And I became a bad girl. I began to abuse men, was what I took from her comments. I began to use them for what I could get. I began to think about sex much more casually, like men do. And all of that seemed to indicate that it had forced her to shut her heart down, to let go of that nurturing, beautiful, feminine quality that so many men are hungry for in their heart. And we talked about the Wonder Woman earlier, who's become basically a man with breasts, and is very, masculinely driven, and CEO of a corporation, to use an extreme example. So let's talk about that a little bit, about how does a woman have drive and goals and passion for her life, and not lose the opportunity to be really open and loving to a man.
Well, it's interesting because this last week I did a class for a bunch of women that were looking for their lovers, right? And I did a flirting class, and all these women that called me are all Wonder Women, and they're all disappointed. Many of them have it. But the interesting thing about this whole thing, and we're going to be touching on all these topics as we go on, when we talked about that experience, people got triggered by it because they're like, oh my God, that's my pattern. But most people that are when they're in a whirlwind, right? When we're in a whirlwind of work, like myself, I attracted bad boys. My whole book is about how I had to heal my own heart. And then when you read it, you could feel that I could understand each and every client that comes to me, because I lived it through 4 generations of women. So almost always, not always, like I'm not going to say always because it's not always, but I would say 70% of the people that call me have been hurt by a bad boy. And normally they had broken family relationships in their lineage, or they saw their mother get hurt, or their father cheated on, or it is fascinating when you study that. So it becomes a pattern that makes you strive to find somebody that gives you that feeling of power, even though you're a powerful person. Powerful men, powerful women, at the end of the day, they're out making, they're making money, they're really powerful. But at the end of the day, sometimes if their love lives aren't in balance, it can destroy their confidence. It destroys their confidence.
Well, that's the thing. I think your love relationship should really find a synergy, is the ideal, with your business, the thing that drives your passion. We're always, seems to me, trying to strike a balance between what really gives us joy and juice and that great vibration of self-worth and achievement and doing something good in the world, hopefully, and not just a power trip. And then also having someone to share that with, that we have a very beautiful union with. And I think that's really what we're talking about, is how to find that balance here, and not let people damage our belief in that true love.
Well, I think that when a woman like myself, I saw divorce and infidelity and women alone with children, and it drove me. So I always ask my clients, male or female, what drove you to become this successful? And then in your love life, you choose so randomly, like it's a dessert, instead of, you know what I mean? Like the busier a person is, and that's why movie stars and And people that have a lot of attention, like the bad boys, like people see bad boys, they get so much attention that they almost can't choose properly because they don't know whether someone loves them for who they are. And you've said that, to me over the years. When people know you're on TV, you don't know if they love you because you could maybe hook them up with a producer, or bring them into, they go, oh, maybe he can get me into a play or whatever. But the thing is that's most important for everyone, if you do have that need for speed, to go pluck somebody up and go take them home, that's where you got to do the deeper work. And people always say to me, it doesn't matter to me. But almost everybody that I talk to will say, I got involved with somebody and I knew it, but I couldn't let go of the sexual chemistry. And now it's been 4 years and I'm stuck.
Oh my
So
goodness.
that's why it's really, really important for people to choose their partner wisely. And if you are going to rush into love, you got to slow down the process so that you don't move in too soon or get somebody, in your life, that they get wrapped into your life. There's a difference between running around and having a quickie with a bad boy or a woman one night, but sometimes people get addicted and they stay really too long, and then they can't get out of the pattern.
Well, that's the danger, this whole idea of oxytocin, the chemical addiction that we develop, the dopamine in the brain. I'm not familiar with all those, pharmaceutical terms, or how they all interact, but I can tell very clearly that when I get sexually involved with a woman and I feel a great affection for her personality, for the nurturing, the approval that she brings to me, the sharing that goes on, it's a very strong high.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're all looking for. And I guess it comes down to, we have to step back and go, wow, am I achieving this? Am I hitting this at any given time by choice? What am I choosing? And that's what's been one of the most helpful things in your book, is your lists of questions to ask yourself.
Yeah. And ask yourself before. Almost everyone that I speak to says, I knew that it wasn't right when I was doing it.
Intuitive, yes.
Intuitively knew. My gut said, or I was getting naked, and then all of a sudden I realized, I don't even know this person, this woman, this guy.
Yeah.
But if a person is in that desperation or inside they're unhealed, they will keep going after that feeling because they don't believe in themselves. It's really an inner core thing. Or they're open-minded and they have open sexual relationships, and there's no judgment on that. I've met swingers and all sorts of people, but it's all about being honest. If you are online, if you go online and you say, I am looking for a long-term relationship, I want to get married, and then you go out and you try and lock a woman down because she wanted to hear that because it's in her profile, but you're doing it, male or female, to get laid or manipulate somebody, then it's really not nice. If you know that you're hurt and you want to go out and have a fling or whatever, people do that all the time. They call me, I'm going to go have a fling with somebody. And I go, well, is it really going to make your broken heart feel any better? I haven't seen that to be proof. Maybe getting affection from somebody, but going out and having intercourse with somebody and energetically connecting with a stranger, to me, was empty. Everybody's done it.
I have to agree. We've all done it, on occasion. If we have maturity in our sexuality, we've all, I think in this day and age, had some of those experiences. And my experience is that it drives me deeper into a sense of loneliness, and even a place of desperation, because I feel like it's like I'm trying to hold sand and it's running through my fingers. Yeah. And it's a very frustrating experience to have that kind of pseudo-intimate contact with someone, but not really touch them in any kind of a real profound way. And so in the last couple of minutes we have here, I just want to wrap up my remarks about this topic as saying that in my experience, I am pulling back from that now. Yeah. And I've just returned from Hawaii. I'm back in California. I'm back to my normal life, shall we say. But I feel altered by the experience of nature there, by the work that I've done with you, by the reading and rereading your book and going, what kind of people have I attracted? What have I settled for? And what does that say about how I feel about myself? And so I can easily blame, that person went away, that person abandoned me. But what did I attract? What did I claim was sufficient for myself. And finally, I said, you know what? I love you, but this is not enough for me.
Yeah.
I'm really hungry to have something deep with you. I would really love that. But I can see that you're not really ready for it.
Yeah.
And I have no judgment about that. I'm going to do my best not to feel hurt and blaming, but I need to pull my energy back, and I need to go on with my life, but in a measured way, not in a vindictive way or a go out and chase skirt way, but in something that has a more fulfilling vibration for my life.
Well, all of us have to have places to heal and ways to heal. And we're going to be continuing this conversation about how to do just that. So Clayton, because you've been through this experience before, because I've been through it before, I'm so open about it because I think that people need to know that by getting and attracting a sexual partner easily, that makes them feel good. Okay. So now that you know that you can do that, or you can use that part of your energy frequency to attract people, use it wisely. Don't put all of your cookies in the game unless you just want your cookies crumbled. That's all I can say, because I
Well,
used to pretend that I could do it, and then I would get crumbled by it, and it never made me feel much better. But usually drinking or drugs are involved with many people's escapades with bad boys and
yeah,
good
that's a
bad
measure of
boys.
how they have to suppress their emotional life to be able to do that, I think, in large
Yeah.
measure.
Yeah.
And I basically would put my little guy in the background and say, look, don't look, this is me having some fun. And so only half of me got to participate.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. So it becomes like a sport for some people to see how many people they can do that with. And then
I
to other
suppose,
people, it becomes more sacred. But then in the end, often people, and we talked about the busy people earlier, I know I was one of them. And it usually takes something like the coronavirus. I think this time that people have had during this epidemic around the world, it is actually increasing my business because people said that they have appreciated this time so that they could really look at their life. Like, it makes them look at their family connections, their sexual connections, their exes, healing time, because most people in our world, we are on our computers, we're on our phones, we don't give ourselves time to heal. And if you don't heal over a wound from somebody that kind of pulled you into a situation quickly and learn the lessons, you could end up having to go through relationship after relationship with the same type of person. And I
yes.
call that a love loop.
When we're in that loop, as you say, and we're allowing ourselves, we're creating, promoting, or allowing this relationship to exist in our lives.
Yes.
So I think the first step for me from your material and my other spiritual studies was to transcend that "you did it to me" attitude and say, look what I'm attracting. Look what I'm
Yes.
promoting. Look what I'm settling for. And
Yes.
it's a really challenging thing when you meet someone who's really lovely, someone you have history with, someone who appears to really love you, but is not fully emotionally available because of other wounds in their life that I have no control over.
Yeah.
And then try to make a fantasy out of that, oh, I can outlast this, or I can power through, or something like that.
Or I can change them. I could change the
Okay.
way that they feel.
A lot of
There's
women
people
think
that think that they can change a bad boy. And I have to say, if anybody's interested, we are going to be, Clayton's involved with a bunch of other men that are going to come on to talk about these topics. It's going to be called Secrets into the Minds of Men. It's a man panel that I have.
okay.
Usually along with my classes, and I don't think that I've ever heard more openness than I have about flirting and the things that women do that turn men off, the things that they do that turn them on, the things that make them commit, and the things that make them run, right? And one of the things that makes men run is that pushing, wanting the texting and so people think that sex means that it means something. It doesn't mean anything until you discuss what it means,
You have to
and in
define
the
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's really, all of this is so important for you. If you're out there alone, you should be doing some reflection. Don't you agree?
I
They should
totally
be
agree.
reflecting, especially because half the world is single right now. People are upset and they're just starting to go out. Now they're rioting, right? So we're in the middle of a
Yeah.
crazy world. And what is really sad is there's many people, of course, that are sad about what happened that caused it. And number two, really disgruntled about, is the world ever going to be the same when it comes to relationships? I say yes. I say that all of these topics that Clayton and I are talking about are very pertinent to your work, pertinent to your family, pertinent to your heart in all areas of your life. Wouldn't you say, Clay?
Yeah, I find that they don't change. I think it's certainly added some new dynamics as we're here in the middle of the social unrest that's pervasive across the United States right
And the
after.
world, actually, and the world.
Yeah, I saw a huge demonstration on the news in Paris yesterday, a million people.
Yeah.
So extraordinary. We're not the only country that has a racial equality issue.
Yeah.
But there's also this gender equality issue. A lot of women have felt looked down upon by the men in their lives or the men that they're trying to date. Hopefully, we've made some inroads into that area, but it's become a much more complex dynamic now. And I think you keep going back to be honest, communicate, and I think it's so fundamental and so powerful that you
That's
say,
why, when I was writing the book, I had all these names and I was laying in bed, but people said to me, you always have said for all 30 years, just get real with yourself, know yourself,
mhm,
get real and be honest with everybody else because we're all adults here. Why are we going out trying to
well,
manipulate each other, with conning people, with the bad girl, good, the bad boy, good, bad girl
yeah, the whole
topic.
tit for tat thing,
Yeah.
what it comes down to, what I want to say about that, to finish my thought, is that it takes tremendous courage, to be honest,
Yeah.
to say, I would really like to create this. I feel
Yeah.
this way about you. How do you feel? And be willing to hear the answer.
Yeah.
Not the fantasy that you have, but be willing to hear the answer. And I have to admit, it was challenging for me to know the answer in my last relationship, that I could not have what I wanted. And I thought that I had communicated quite well, but obviously there were things that I was doing that created a sense of pressure in my loved one that was uncomfortable for her.
Yeah.
And I think that was going on because of things, in her own consciousness
Yeah.
that she was grappling with, wounds that I knew not of and could not feel. My marriage was much briefer
Yeah.
than hers,
Yeah.
and it was important not to equate them, but to say, I feel this. What do you feel? And ask a leading question rather than you do this, you do that. I'm unhappy here. You know, it needs to be a little more open dialogue, a
Yeah.
nonviolent communication.
I agree. And I hope that you all have some comments about, as you transition out of relationships, I say learn from them, look at yourself, and get real about love. And we're going to be back next week with so much more. It's an unending topic, love. So
Yeah.
Clayton, I'm glad you're back. I can't wait for us to get together and do this live very soon. And I
Yes.
hope that you've all been inspired by this. So if you're going through a transition or a relationship thing, a situation, you can check out all of my services and products on reneepiani.com because I am helping so many people to get real about love. And it's so important during this, world changing time to change yourself, So Clayton, thank you once again for being so raw and real about your experience because it's going to help other people to heal. So let's sign off and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, everybody. Enjoy. Only love.
God bless. Have a great evening. And whatever you're doing, get real with your heart.